One of the most common things small business owners and managers alike try to do is guess or estimate the future, or in other words, forecast. And just like most, they're probably using their gut or intuition and not sure how to use data exactly to forecast demand of sales or budget planning. In this video, I'm going to show you how to do it in Google Sheets 3 different ways that will definitely help you reduce the headache of guessing. Method number one. Well, it's kind of like 2 for 1. Yeah, we'll go 2 for 1. It's what you would call the naive one, is where you take the sales or the number from the previous period and apply it to the next period. And you say that's your forecast because you're going off of data. The half of that, the 1.5 to that would be you take the previous period and you add a percentage, like 5% or 10% to it. Very, very simple and easy to do. Let me show you how in the next scene. Here we go. We have some bite-sized munchie sales data from the last 2 years. You can get this by joining my newsletter. It's just fake data to help you with your projects. But we're going to forecast the next few months in a few different ways. First way is the dummy way, as I call it, or naive way. But what we're going to do is we're going to simply say, hey, let's take last month's sales and make it for the forecast. And then here we go. This will be the last month's sales, and we'll fill it down. And that is our forecast. Very, very simple, very, very easy way to use. As you can see in the chart here, it just mimics the same pattern, but shifts it over to the right a little bit. Now for the next one, let's say we have some growth. We're going to call this the percentage way. What we're going to do is we're going to take the previous month and we're going to multiply that, say, with a 5% growth rate. So I'm going to multiply it by 1.5. I'm going to come down to the August. The reason I'm stopping here is you'll see in just a second. And I'm going to take this month because I'm forecasting the previous month. And since we don't have a previous month, I got to use the one above it. There we go. Yep. And we're going to take the previous month, multiply that by 5%. And we'll fill this down. And there we go. Now, as you can see in this one, since we have growth, it's showing that we're growing, kind of matching up this archway that we have here, showing the projection. But again, it shifts it to the right and gives it a little bit more of a, shifts it to the right and shifts it up a little bit. Very, very simple, very, very easy. And those are the first 2 easy forecasting models you can try. This is what we call the moving average. This means we take a period of time predetermined, take the average of that period and apply it to the next period. For instance, we could use the sales from the last 3 months and use the average of that to give us the 4th month. And then when we want to do the 5th, we'll take the last 3 and the new 4th one and get the 5th one. Let me show you how to do that in Google Sheets. Very, very simple. Back to our data set, we are going to use a moving average. And this one, if you work in finance, you'll use this one a lot. To start, we're going to use a 3-month moving average. So we're going to go down to month 4, which is November. We're going to type in equals average, average, and we're going to go from the previous 3 periods. We'll hit enter. And as you can see, let me get the mouse to work. We just got a simple average of the last 3 periods. And if you pay attention to the chart on the right, as we add this in, you'll see it start to form. And it's going to be a green dashed line. We'll change that in just a sec. I want to point out down here, we have to make some adjustments on the average. This one's correct because it was 3 previous periods, but this one is not correct. So what I'm going to do is make a quick array formula. And I'm going to lock it in place to make these array formulas in Google Sheets. Very similar to Excel. You use the curly brackets when you want to combine more than one array into a single column. And there we have it. So I'm going to fill this down. I have to make some minor adjustments. Not too bad though. We're going to change this to 26 because it's only one left. And as you can see, 2028. And we're going to get to 2029. So we can take all these 3 off in the curly bracket. Or we get an error because I left the curly bracket in there. And there we go. Now we have our 3-month moving average. As I highlight on this chart, we'll go change some of the, so it's easier to see. I'm gonna make it super thick so we can see it. I'm gonna change it to black so it pops out. All right, the green line is our total sales. The other ones are the models. But look, as you can see, it kind of buffers, smooths out these peaks that we have right here. And it gives us a trajectory kind of going upwards. It does not shift to the right like the other or shift up to the right, to the top and to the right. This is a very good model if you're looking for some more average, quick and easy type of model to use. But there are some machine learning model functions built in both Excel and Google Sheets. Believe it or not, Google Sheets and Excel both have machine learning models built into them. Not super robust ones, but enough to get the job done. And in this case, it'll help us forecast because it's called the forecast function. It'll help us forecast the next period. It's very simple to use, and Excel and Google Sheets both have it. However, Excel does have exponential smoothing, which accounts for seasonality. Google Sheets does not have that, but if you'd like me to show you how to do that in Google Sheets, let me know in the comments below, and I'll make a video for that. Now, this function uses linear regression, or in buzzwords, machine learning. It's a type of model. Think of this, if you're not familiar with it, think of linear regression as the trend line that you like to throw on charts where you say, throw me the trend line, and they throw the line on there. That's kind of what forecast is doing. You're making a linear line where it predicts kind of the average of everything. And you look at that line and you're like, okay, I can estimate that this period I'll get this much. Very, very simple to use, very, very easy to create a dynamic dashboard that can adjust using this function. Let me show you how right here. Now for this model, the function is called forecast, and it uses the linear type of modeling that you would do with the y equals mx plus b. Or if you throw down a trend line in your chart, because I know management loves saying, show me a trend. This one uses that trend line as the model. But since we're dragging it from previous data and not using it all collectively, it's going to change the line a little bit. And I'll show you the difference. But let's start with month 3. We're going to go forecast. And what we need is the period. So X will be period. You can use days, months. If you use the month period, it offsets the day. So you might want to add a column to the left and put period 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I'm going to show you a cool trick. We're going to go count A, because it's not a numeric value. We have this as a text. And then our Y data, we're going to take the first 2 periods. We want to lock up B2. So when we drag it down, it continues to take on data. And since we can't use the date, now it's telling you, since we don't have a column that says period 1 through 4, here's a little trick we can do. Not counting. We want to use sequence. And what sequence does is create an array, which we need. And we're going to use count A, but we're going to use A2 to A3. We want to lock it on A2. So as we drag this down, it'll make a pattern from 1 to whatever number, I think it's 27. So one column, we want to start at 1, and we want to increase it by 1. And we're going to start it at 2. So it's going to go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 as we go down. And no, we want to start it at 1. No, yeah, because this is the number of rows. We want 2 rows, start it at 1, start at 1, and increase by 1. So there's our sequence, our forecast. And there we go. Now let's fill it all the way down. Whoop, too far, too far. And we're going to kind of do the same thing. As you can see, it tailors off right here. But if we take this and we remove 1 row here and say 26, and then we add a F27 to F27, we can do that same trick we did before by locking it, and it's going to take these 2 different columns, put them into one column, but we have to lock all the previous cells from the previous. And now we have it. It's going to grab it from our forecast model as well. So I can fill down, and I'll show you. Now we don't have a standard line. We have the forecast from up here and these 3 over here. It's taking all of that data and putting it into our forecast. So let's highlight this data because it's a light green. I wish that forecast would come off screen. There it goes. Go to series. I'll make this pop, and we'll go to forecast model. I'm going to make it, let's make it orange. We'll make it super thick. And there you go. As you can see, it kind of does like what a trend line does using the past data, so it smooths it out a little bit. Let's throw a data trend line on there, and you can see that it's very similar to the trend line. And let's make that one like a hot pink. And as you can see, it follows let's make that super thick so we can see that too. As you can see, it follows that trend line really, really close with a couple, it takes into account the variations of the bumps. There are some exponential smoothings for seasonality that we can go into. It's beyond the scope of this. But if you'd like, put a comment and let me know if you'd like me to go over that. I can show you how to do it in Excel. They have that function in the forecast. It's forecast.exponential, and that means it takes into account seasonality. But now it leaves us with the one big elephant in the room. There's a whole science to picking which model you should use, which ones you shouldn't use. And essentially, it comes down to one of the most common methods is you take the forecast minus the actual, and then you square it. And then you add all of them up from the differences. And then the one with the lowest number is considered the best model because it was closest to the actual data. There's some great resources out there, Brandon Foltz, StatQuest, that go into detail of the science behind this. Or if you'd like, let me know in the comments if you want me to make a video on it. But I don't know if I can do it better than them. But if you want to move on to another chart and up your game, watch this video right here.